Chegou a novidade pro rolê. E aí, você já provou? Topo Chico, um divisor de águas, com gás, com álcool e aroma natural de fruta. Credo, que delícia. Pra você beber geladinho na beira da praia, da piscina, da banheira, por que não? Difícil encontrar um rolê que não combine. Topo Chico, leve e refrescante em 90 calorias. E aí, topa?
Olá, muito boa tarde. 4 horas, Brasil. Na Holanda, às 8 da noite. Tudo bem? Estamos aqui no nosso quarto e finaleiro, último dia da nossa Power Week. A gente recebeu aqui muita gente bacana, muitas inspirações, muitos insights. Lembrando a todos que todo esse conteúdo, todo esse conhecimento vai estar encapsulado num report que a gente vai distribuir digitalmente aí no final do ano. Daqui a pouco eu coloco aqui quem não se cadastrou para receber. O conceito da nossa semana, de fato, é trazer um fechamento, uma conclusão, um envelopamento desse ano tão desafiador. Ninguém está querendo colocar sujeira para debaixo do tapete. É inexorável o estrago que essa pandemia fez nas vidas que levou, enfim, na economia, em vários setores que foi devastado, na dificuldade aí do nosso setor quando se trata do lado presencial, e fatalmente nos traumas aí que deixou e ainda vai deixar. No entanto, tem muita coisa legal, tem muita coisa boa, tem muito aprendizado, tem muita lição, tem muita transformação, com essa perspectiva que a gente quer abordar essa semana, trazendo aí uma questão guarda-chuva para todos os painéis de quais são as lições de 2020 para o futuro da música, do entretenimento. Tenho certeza que são muitas, tenho certeza que o setor da música, do entretenimento, da economia criativa é, por essência, resiliente e desbravador e se reinventa. Então, fatalmente, essa experiência vai nos deixar mais fortes e preparados. Quando a gente pensou aí no Power, semanticamente, né, o poder tem relação com capacidade de realização, de entrega, capacidade de fazer, e também no sentido de agregar, né? A música tem esse poder de agregar suas mensagens, suas comunidades. Então, com esse espírito aí, também um espírito de final de ano, de confraternização, que a gente encerra a nossa Power Week. E essa tarde, a gente começa com um super painel, recebendo aqui, orgulhosamente, os 2 co-diretores do Amsterdã Dance Event, para mim e para muitos aí, uma das principais inspirações e referências quando se trata de eventos de música eletrônica, tanto para profissionais quanto para fãs, que acontecem em Amsterdã há 25 ou 26 anos. Na sequência, no Sunset Hour, às 17h30, a gente tem o Léo Janeiro, a Ela Divuono, o Eba e o Laércio, e finalizando o dia de hoje, o Gabriel Pinto, o Rafael Lazzarini, do Rio to See, a Mariana Ribas, do Sebrae. Now let's start. Actually, this panel vai ser em inglês. This panel will be spoken in English, so I would like to Flávio, pode colocar a turma, a warm welcome to Meindert, Jan, and Mauricio Soares, that will be on my side here as co-host of BRMC. That brought us a lot. Mauricio, welcome. Meindert, Jan, it's very a huge honor for us to have you here. Actually, from my personal and single experience at the ADE is the most fantastic experience for dance music fans and professionals. Have been there since 2010 in a row. So it's a huge honor to have you here. Thank you for making this happen, this important disclosure, to sharing, to exchange. So where are you talking from? How are you doing, Jan, Meindert? Welcome.
Thanks. I'm talking from Amsterdam, obviously. We're in the head office of ADE. I was at home because we're in a total lockdown at the moment. But I have a small kid, and she was crying all the time. So I said I need to leave to the office to do this interview. So yeah.
How is the weather there?
Sorry?
Weather.
Cold.
Yeah. It's, let's say 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. So yeah, that's a little bit more, a little bit colder than it is at your place, right?
Yeah, we are around 30. And you, Meindert, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm from home. Also, some little kids sleeping, but they're downstairs, so hopefully they won't start crying.
Great.
So I put up an ADE cube just for you guys.
Yeah. Actually, it's late time at night there. It's 8 o'clock. So thank you 2 times to make this happen.
Yeah,
I will start. So from my personal, as I've said, and firsthand experience, ADE is really something that defines and represents us as a culture. BRMC, the Brazilian scene, and myself have been inspired from the country, the city of Amsterdam, and the event since 2010, when the first time I've been there. In terms of top artists, technology, innovation, brands, and knowledge, what the Netherlands have been delivering, it's really outstanding. And without a shadow of doubt, all of this is surrounded by ADE strong and deep foundations, and what the event stands for. Said this, a warm welcome again, Jan and Meindert. Congratulations for this new role. Please share with us a little bit of your personal relation and brief historical with this environment, the dance music itself, and what this culture represents for you, starting with you, Jan, please.
Thanks. Well, I've been working for 10 years at the Amsterdam Dance event. Then I went away to a ticketing company called C-Tickets. I was the head of business development for 3 years. And now I'm back at ADE to be the board together with Meindert. We're the direction with the two of us. And when I was working previously at ADE, I was a festival manager, and it has grown under my wings from 30 to 130 locations for 5 days. And now this year. Let's first talk. Let's first give the word to Meindert. Much into details.
Yeah. So I used to work in a record store for a very long time, and then I started working at Spinning Records in 2008, I think, and I became head of marketing there, and I was also head of digital. So I set up their brand and their online and social media strategy. Then the company became really, really big, and for me, it was time to look for a new adventure. And so I met Jan, and now together we're the board of ADE, and super happy to be here.
Great. Mauricio, would you like to start?
Yeah. Well, this goes to Jan-Willem, since he has been with ADE for 10 years. As you know, ADE has become the industry-leading event for the electronic music business. It draws people from every corner of the globe for this week of meetings and parties in Amsterdam year after year. So as a new co-director of the event, and in a way as a representative of this segment, how is your relationship with the public authorities at this point? Considering the travel restrictions and all that, and how do you intend to work together with them moving forward, considering the importance of electronic music for the Dutch economy and culture?
That's a good question. So let's say a year or 7 ago, ADE became bigger and bigger, and we had like 30 venues during ADE, and we start growing and growing. And at some point, the city council said to us, "Okay, we really need to cooperate together and organize ADE together, and you should coordinate together with us to get all the permits on time, because before this collaboration." The city council gave individual permits to every single event during ADE, and you can imagine we already had like 30 venues for 3 or 4 days, so they had to give already 150 to 180 permits, and they all had to check them individually. So at some point we came together and said, okay, give us the role of coordinating this this festival together with you, and we can set the measures together, and we can set the rules, and so we did this showcase with them, and we started working intensively, and from there on, our role as a leading platform for individual culture and music makers started to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And this year, obviously, we couldn't do anything physical during this edition. We decided that we still want to have this role for individual music makers to use our platform only then digitally to show the world what all these music makers are capable of. And in terms of the authority, we are looking forward to come together in January of 2021 to look at the near future of dance, obviously, and that's an interesting dilemma. We all don't really know when everything will open up and stuff like that, but we are in close conversation with them to do this on a coordinated way.
Right. Any complementation, Meindert? No, actually, I always see parties and activations in the squares all over Amsterdam. This, I guess, it's a very near relationship with the city mayor, how this flows, because this is something very inspired, mainly for my city, Rio de Janeiro, that we have a lot of great spaces and places in town, but also very difficult to put up some party or activation. How this started and how is this development right now, this relationship with the city mayor?
Well, it's been challenging for the last for the past year, obviously, and because nobody knows how the future will roll out, and that's something, so the mayor doesn't have an answer, the city council doesn't have an answer. So the only thing you can do is just, call in and check up on each other like every week and see, how everything is evolving. So that's been really challenging. So, and I think we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jan, like 2 weeks before the event, we had almost 50 or 60 seated events programmed, which needed to be canceled at the very last minute. So that was, so we were really close on the ball there, also with the city council, obviously. And but unfortunately, 2 weeks before we had to cancel, everything except one event.
And maybe it's good for the listeners and the viewers to explain a little bit more about us not being a normal festival. We don't have fences around our festival. We are a citywide festival. We are a platform on which every promoter or artist can host his own party, as long as they are obviously curated by us. But as long as they meet the requirements from the city council and in terms of safety and permits and stuff like that, you can organize something during ADE. So we coordinate, and we are the umbrella under which a lot of individual events such as Awakening, Circle Loco, Paradise, Defected can all host their own event, and we are, let's say, the worldwide gathering of electronic music in 1 week. But we don't organize all these single events ourselves. We coordinate them in the.
But the public ones, yes, indeed, it's you.
Yeah,
it's AD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a curiosity. Actually, I would like to understand before Mauricio, giving back to you, the process of the succession thing. actually it has something in the middle that was Mariana, the other co-manager. And a curiosity is if you will, as Richard, go through bike from a venue to another as he used to do, because it was something very, very Amsterdam thing. And it was great seeing the manager of the event going for everywhere by bike. This is something really great. I will ask you if you will go by bike as well.
Yeah, I love to do that. I mean, I haven't, unfortunately, I haven't had the experience yet because of COVID. So let's hope in October we can take our bike and go from venue to venue.
Oh, I will find Meindert in the bike going, checking the venues. And
to be honest, it's easier and faster to ride a bike in Amsterdam, especially in the city center, than go by car.
Yeah.
It's October and it's cold and it's raining, and so it's not every time it's really convenient to do so. But if you're on an efficient time schedule, it's easier to go. It's easier and better to go by bike than because you can also decide whenever you want to leave. You don't have to wait for a driver or stuff like that. So
actually, from 2010 to 2016 or 17, I guess it was all on the same area of town. Then you put a venue a little bit far away that can't go by bike, or it's more difficult to go.
That's correct. That's correct. So we really started as a let's say a club festival. So all the clubs in the city center, all the clubs were in the city center of Amsterdam during that time. Let's say the Paradiso, Melkweg, at that time Studio 80, the Escape. They're all in the city center. So we started out with only within a small square kilometer, I guess, all the venues. So, but later, when we became more popular, a lot of foreign tourists discovered us and came to Amsterdam. Also, the commercial part of ADE started to really roll out, and then you get the bigger venues, which are obviously not in the city center, but a little bit more outside the city center, with let's say 2, 3, 4, 5,000 capacity venues, such as the Gashouder from Awakenings, where Mauricio and I were talking about a little bit earlier before we had this conversation, and a lot of things at the harbor, which is called the NDSM. The bigger venues are more on the raw side of Amsterdam, not in the city center.
Yeah.
Right. So, Meindert, how do you see ADE's value proposition evolving in face of the impact of the pandemic? And do you believe that ADE Green or other specific parts of the conference's program will become stronger? What's your take on that?
That's a good question. Well, what we tried to do, like one of the main thoughts that we had during the COVID crisis is to say, okay, how are we going to not only cope with this year, but should we copy ourselves and have this as a transitional year and then go out next year as if nothing ever happened and do it as we always did, or can we add value to our proposition? And take that with us, for the years to come. So that was always kind of the frame that we looked into. So everything we did in past digital edition of ADE was geared around, okay, what can we add to our value proposition? And there was a lot of wishes that we already had for a few years already that we wanted to put out, and we put that on a 5-year roadmap. And we thought, okay, let's cramp it all together and let's just do it this year and take it with us, in a backpack, so to say, and take it into 2021, where we hopefully can do a regular ADE. So the value proposition is that we organized this digital version, and we hope to come back twice as strong next year with digital elements to ADE that we developed for the COVID edition, so to say, and so we can make sure that people who can't, who don't have the money or because obviously the COVID crisis hasn't done any good, for the whole industry. So people who are thinking, okay, I can't afford to go to Amsterdam this year, so we can use this online proposition to make sure they can be part of ADE as well for next year, but also, the people who are willing and be able to come to Amsterdam and to see if we can come, like I said, if we can come twice as strong. So that's the value proposition part of the question. And to roll that ADE green and beats, that was what you're asking, right?
Green initiatives, yes.
Yeah, and obviously,
sorry.
Yeah, those elements of the conference will obviously, be part of ADE again the coming years, and let's see how that fits. But again, it's like really dependent on the coming months. So what we did is we kind of sliced the year in half to see, okay, where will the world be around May, June, and see how we can go from there.
Yeah. What we did in 2020, we want to give the visitor the feel that you have whenever you enter Amsterdam during October. You see all this black and yellow everywhere, and for every party you go to, you're going to miss 9 other parties where you should have been, and everybody was talking about. So you have this fear of missing out feeling whenever you go to Amsterdam. We wanted to recreate that in a digital version, and not only to clone that idea, but also to add this value. So what we did is we created this carpet of content, and you had to discover and wander around, and you see a field recording show in Nairobi, and together with that you see a live Elro stream, and so you had all these kinds of different content during ADE, and you could wander around, but at the same time we also had like this timetable for people who want some structure and doesn't feel like, okay, I want to see all these kinds of different styles of content. So that's what we did for our fans, and we had about 300 digital events during ADE this year. And we didn't have any limitations on geographics. So we had stuff from Nairobi, from Japan, from Brazil. So we had different kinds of content, and they were not all live streams, but also short documentaries, masterclasses, studio tours. We had Carl Cox doing a live jam with his label. So all different kinds of. We were not limited on doing events, what we normally are, obviously, during ADE. It's much more a lot of the same, and we were able to do more interesting stuff. And that's something we are taking with us in the backpack Meindert was talking about for next year. Okay, what can we do more than only organize these events? How can we enable let's say, producers and music makers to do more than only being part of the festival and of a lineup. So that's an interesting one. So on the B2B side, because we're also a conference, so we're a festival and a conference, citywide festival and a conference, we decided to do more than just knowledge sharing. What we're doing now is we share knowledge with each other, we have a discussion, and that's really good, and that's the basic element of being a conference. But something which ADE is about is not being in that panel or listening to one or two persons, but being outside of Felix Meritus, the home base of ADE conference, being outside on the streets and talking with everybody who's standing there and potentially doing business with you, and that networking element of ADE is really important to us, because that's why people are coming to Amsterdam, to be there at the canals, to talk with each other, and to potentially find a new deal or whatever. And that's something we wanted to digitalize during this edition. And what so we kind of built, let's say, a LinkedIn environment just for the electronic music industry. It's like a wall, so it's like a social wall, as you can see on LinkedIn, but also where you can look at all the panels, be interactive with it, and stuff like that. And for 2021, we launched it, and we did it like just like the core. We launched the core, and 2021 we're going to build it further and do really interesting stuff with it. So we are quite happy with our digital transition, and it adds up to the event we already have in October 2021 or 2022. We don't really know yet, but it's going to be a hybrid anyway. And everything we do it needs to be sustainable for the future. So every choice we make is okay. Can we use it for multiple years? Do you also hear a lot of noise?
Yes.
Is it my cam? Shall I?
It's gone, right?
It's gone. It's it's an oveny. Yeah. And actually, you did the action, the postcard from Brazil, the postcard from everywhere. There was something good between the slots. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just because we just to give a little bit air to the discussion and to be a connecting platform within the world. It's nice to hear because there is no such thing as a platform where everybody can just hear from everybody what they are doing. I really want to know how you are coping with COVID as an entertainment industry, or I want to know how it's going in China because they already have events going on. How can they do that? What are the measures they have to take before they can go live and stuff like that? So yeah, there's need for global discussion, I guess. So yeah, that's same as you, and same as why we are here. We want to start this discussion and see how we can learn from each other and how we can inspire you and inspire other people and get inspired as well. So that's
that's what all it's about. Let me jump for other subject. I'd like to ask you about your vision from the Brazilian dance music scene, artists, festivals, club brands. Do you think our scene could influence others around the globe? What's your take on this cultural exchange matter? Meindert.
Yeah, good question. Obviously, during my time at Spinnin, we worked with ALOC a lot. And it was always super exciting, and obviously the whole industry has been thriving, for a long year. Brazil was always on the at least on the top 10 list of countries to tour. In South America it was always with Argentina, but especially also Brazil. So yeah, it's been a really thriving country, and it's always been on the radar, at least, and not for my role at ADE because that's a little bit too short, but as a marketeer at a label, Brazil has always been on our radar for sure.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I really feel this pandemic is changing the view of let's say global culture versus local culture. So it used to be, let's say, European DJs flying around and American DJs flying around the world to do what they do. But from our perspective, let's put it that way. From our perspective as being ADE, we are curious on what is going on within every local dance culture. So that's something we want to invest. So what is going on in Brazil, and what's going on in China, what's going on in Korea, and instead of bringing our culture to another country, we want to show the world what's going on in all these countries instead of bringing one thing to the rest of the world, just to display what's going on in the world, and let's say as a global brand showcase local culture instead.
Yeah, and that's exactly what our online efforts for past year have accomplished. That we are now very much more able to do so because normally in those 5 days, it's really hard to, there's a lot of noise, with everything going on. And now we built this platform that we can, really focus on local dance culture, like Jan said. So that's
true. So it's something we can invest and show and communicate during the whole year. We don't have to wait until it's over to show anything. And it's not only about bringing lots of people to Amsterdam. Let's say 450,000 people to Amsterdam in 1 week. It's also now a time to really redevelop these thoughts and say, okay, how can we use our global platform to show also what's going on in the world instead of bringing everybody together in Amsterdam, which we are also going to do, but also go out and see what's going on in other countries, such as Brazil, because I know you got a really strong dance culture and a lot of peers and a lot of festivals. Obviously, it's not without reason. A lot of Dutch companies and festivals are trying to get ground to gain ground in Brazil. You obviously have a strong culture of music and dance in particular. Yeah.
Mauricio, before giving back to you, yes, indeed, Jan, actually we are since 2016 because of a lot of issues, economical, currency, on our best moment. And that's what my question is about. In a post-pandemic lessons context, with less dislocation, less tours, other lenses in artists' careers plan, we have been listening through all these days here in our Power Week to support local scenes more than ever. What is the edge of protection and support the local scene, not to create a bubble, as in the end of the day, in its essence, this culture is about a global sense, one planet, one race, all this important narrative in this cultural DNA of what electronic music is about. So what is your take on this subject? How to balance this, Meindert?
Can you explain a little bit more about your question? So can you repeat?
Actually, we are listening on these 3 days before that we should more than ever, because of all of this that is happening, less dislocation, less tours, on other lenses in the artists' careers, to support local scene. But in the other hand, we think that this should be more mixed. We should have more exchange, as it's a global culture. How to balance this? What would be your advice on the local scenes to support this local, but be open to receive and mix with other artists? How to balance this? Because actually, it's used to be for us here in Brazil more just one direction way, just importing international brands and artists. How balance this? But and at this time, we actually, and I won't put like this, but we are almost well done with our artist brands. We have major promoters, good artists. So, but we need to mix this to make the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Before Meindert, because that's something. The interesting part is the customer decides what the festival is programming. So my question back to, let's say, Mauricio is, you're a club owner. Why is the first example we are talking about is Circle Local or Awakenings or whatever, instead of why do you choose to book a European DJ instead of a Brazilian DJ? I'm just curious. Maybe that's not the question. Maybe it's the question: why are Brazilian fans more fan of European DJs than they are of Brazilian DJs?
Yeah, it's a complex question, and well, I think it all relates to a time when we had basically a parity between the real and the dollar, which lasted for a few years. Now it's about six reais for an euro, about 5 something to a dollar. So quite different, and this foreign exchange rate, it changed a lot over the last couple of years. So for us, it became like 50% more expensive to book artists from abroad. But at the same time, my venue is for 7,000 people. So with that size, we really need strong brands and artists with a lot of attractiveness. So that leads us to several international brands. We are working on some local IP, but the thing is, this takes time, So I started MS Live together with Mario last year. So we have been working on this, but it will take a couple more years until we can host a proper event at our venue with full capacity. So that leads me to another question to you guys. With this change in the foreign exchange rate, it became, as I said, almost 50% more expensive to book international artists to events in Brazil. And so there's this big question of how much the international artists would be willing to give up on their revenue to be present in a market, as you said, such importance as Brazil is. What's your take on that? Do you think that the leading artists will be more empathic to this situation, or they'll just keep their fees and that's it? When you guys have money, you book me again.
Well, we're not bookers, but I guess this is a question that a lot of people will have right now in the industry, because everybody will, before the pandemic, everybody kind of knew where they were and what they were able to ask, not maybe what they should ask, but maybe what they were able to ask. And let's see how that turns out, because we don't know how what travel will look like in 6 months. Maybe it's super complicated, maybe it's not, maybe everything will open up and everything will be back to normal. So yeah, it's a good question. But still, I think it's more of a question for management than for the bookers, because the bookers, they will just do the best they should do for their artists. So it's more of a strategic decision to say, okay, how important is the Brazilian market, and how much am I willing, to go lower on my feet? So yeah, if I would, yeah.
I got a good example which might be useful to you guys. We did ADE global sessions in Mumbai for several years. So what we did is, let's say, a satellite event of the conference in Mumbai, because we saw there's a lot of fan base in India for electronic music. So we started working there with Mr. Singh, Shailendra Singh, and he was he used to be part of the Sunburn family, one of the founders, together with his brother. And he also had another company. It's called Guest List for Good. And they managed to get, at some point, they managed to get Hardwell to come to India for free. So I discussed this with him. What's with him and Anna from his manager? So we discussed again. What's in it for Hardwell to come to India for free, because he was playing there for free, and all these kids could go in for free as well. And so there was no money involved. Some sponsors to really get this thing going, but next to that, let's say 40,000 people could go in. That was their treat for the kids over there, dance kids. And he explained that whenever Hardwell came in at day one, and he left on day 3 or 4, he had like 2 million extra subscribers on YouTube or Facebook or how, I don't know where exactly, but this country has got the numbers, so it's got the mass, and so that's something which could be of any interest for bigger DJs as well for Brazil. Whenever you are able to activate all these numbers, all these kids that want to see a DJ, that might be of more value for a DJ than $1. So that's basically the same as what Meindert was saying. If your strategic plan is to gain ground in South America, and Brazil is a part of a strong part of their plan, then maybe the numbers, the cash doesn't matter as much as being there. So yeah, as I was a manager for an artist, or I was the booker of Arca, I would try to create a plan together with a few other venues or with a label to get this whole thing, this whole circle together, to get one artist. And you don't offer the money, but you offer much more than that. You offer, let's say, a reputation and a brand building opportunity in Brazil. So that's what I would do but I'm not a manager, but yeah.
Nice.
Guys, we have more 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15. I would like to get a take on maybe some advices from ADE or from yourself in the mental healthy issue after all these years that we are seeing this craziness of tourings and Aviciis and after this pandemic, that all of the artists are relooking about exactly this. What would you say for the young generation? Do you think it will be a change on this, or the craziness will still be the same? What's your take on this mental healthy issue that is I am part of as well of AFM? Is something that we are rolling the ball and always a priority, and it's a huge issue talking about the industry landscape. Meindert.
Well, that's a tough question, what I hear back in the industry is that the scope, for, at least for the more busy artists, so to say, who did like hundreds of shows a year, is that this COVID period, for those who can afford, not to tour for a year, can also has not only a negative side, which is obviously there, but also kind of a relief from the constant pressure that's there. But that's only for the artists that can actually that can afford that. So maybe the feedback that they have from this year can help in teaching aspiring or more young or eager artists to explain and to listen more to themselves instead of their aspirations or the agendas. But again, that's also dependent on how the industry will open up. So if it will open up gradually, I think people will have more time, to pick their slots and to take their space. But if it would be like this, and tomorrow would be, everything back to normal, I'm afraid people will just continue and go and still go crazy. But let's hope not.
Okay, so for us to end on a high note, I'd like to put this question for you both. So, what kind of positive changes do you expect to see in a post-pandemic world? Be it just like hope or something that you actually expect?
Well, the best thing is that you only realize what you miss is once you don't have it anymore. And I think what we all learned from this is that the connection that we have with everyone, and the thing we loved so much, and the thing that got us into electronic music and events in the first place, if that's taken away from you, you actually know what you're missing, and and I think that's something that we can also cherish and take with us from the rest of our lives, because this is a once in a generational, hopefully for many generations, once in a lifetime experience. So we know what it's like to not have those connections. If I look at people shaking hands, it makes me, it makes me feel weird, which shouldn't be the case. So I hope that, at least maybe not next year on fully, but, within the near future, we all can connect and really cherish that and really, value that for what it actually is, instead of take it for granted.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. And the good thing on this pandemic is that everybody in this world, every single person acknowledged the power of music and being together with a group of people. Whether it's electronic music or other music, we all are wanting this moment back of being together with and feeling connected with like-minded, and that's something which will be back at some point. And there is some light on the end of the tunnel. We will come back with all of us and being stronger and being more, let's say, happy, and we will cherish these moments more than we did before, because we did take it for granted that we could be together and that we could see a DJ and that we could feel the same heartbeat by when a drop comes, and we feel with each other this moment of musical love, and that's something I am really missing at this moment, and that's also what I am so happy and proud of being able to do the job I have, and I'm really looking forward to not do a digital version of connecting music together. I want to be back and hear this bass in my ears again, and stand next to Mauricio and Claudio.
I heard you.
Hands in the air like this, and like, oh, it's so nice together. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Let's do one question from our audience. How can a new brand that was born this year in the digital mode be shown for the curatorship of ADE? Meindert?
How can a new brand that was born this year? Good question.
How we get access to the curatorship?
Yeah, that's a good one. So it depends on, obviously, what the new brand is and what it entails.
Your brand is could be everything.
Yeah, I know, but it's
could be a sponsor.
Oh, then you can know.
Yeah.
Just call me and we get that together.
I don't think it's really. It's not really different than before than before this year, actually, because before COVID, you should have been doing stuff in digital mode as well, really well, to be shown for the curatorship. But if it's on a really practical level, then it's just a matter of getting in touch and show us a show reel.
And for us, it's important. So if we're talking about a digital content which you want to be shown by ADE, for instance, it's the road we are exploring right now is to explore local dance culture, what we just on a global scale. Yeah. So a culture is not by yourself, so you can come up with a name or for a brand, or then it's still not a culture, So you have to have like this fan base and do stuff, and that's whenever that's interesting. We get in a conversation and we get inspired by these events or by these behaviors from groups of people. It's a discussion worthy to see whether we want to show this to the world. It is that's so. It starts with showing culture to us, and then we say, okay, is this interesting enough for us to show this to all our fans?
it's the same as, in my former job at Spinning, people always asked, okay, what kind of music do you want for you to listen to and to be interesting? And what we always said is that, don't copy someone else and show yourself. So that would also be, if it's a brand, if it's something local, show what you're doing and what you're seeing or whatever you're doing. It can be anything, like you said, a brand. But as long as if it's genuine and from yourself, I think that's the most important thing. That makes it interesting. Instead of if it's about music, everybody try to copy the latest hit, which is not the route to go. So always stay close to yourself in that matter.
Great. Yeah, Meindert, thank you very much. We are finishing, but before that, I would like to ask you a positive final say from Amsterdam to the world of dance music. First of all, Jan, my friend, go ahead.
I just stay safe and healthy and wait a little bit more till this COVID is over and we'll get together and we'll share the love and the passion for music in Amsterdam or in Brazil next year when we come to the Brazil Music Conference, obviously. Just stay safe and healthy. That's the most important thing for now. Make sure that's the thing. And then afterwards.
Hang on. That's the only thing I have to say. We'll get there.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so stay safe, everyone. Thank you again, Meindert, Jan, for your time, for sharing. Hope you have a great New Year's Eve and Christmas with your family and friends in the cold of Amsterdam. Mauricio, thank you.
Thank you, Claudio. Thank you, Meindert. Thank you, Jan. Great talking to you guys.
Bye-bye.
Great. Tchau, gente. Abraços.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tchau. Boa. Muito bom. Então, recebemos aqui os co-diretores, os novos co-diretores do ADE, um oferecimento Topo Chico, nossa querida bebida, patrocinadora. Já no nosso chill out eu vou estar em companhia com uma versão de morango. E agora são 5:05, a gente tem às 17h30, daqui a meia horinha, Léo Janeiro, Ela Devuono, Weba e Laércio no nosso Sunset Hour. E no Chill Out, que é o encerramento da nossa Power Week, recebo aqui Gabriel Pinto, da DeLorean. Gabriel Pinto foi um cara que revolucionou a noção das indústrias criativas dentro da Ferjan, fez, inclusive, o primeiro estudo da música eletrônica brasileira para o Ministério da Economia Criativa da Holanda. Ele liderou em parceria comigo e com o BRMC, alguns anos atrás. Vamos estar também com o Rafael Lazzarini, que é o fundador do Rio to See, e a Mariana Ribas, foi ministra interina da Cultura, secretária de Cultura aqui do Rio de Janeiro, e hoje gerente de marketing do Sebrae de São Paulo. Aqui, quem não se cadastrou para receber o nosso report, a gente vai colocar todas essas ideias, insights, pensamentos, para começar o 2021 com o pé direitíssimo, embalados num report. Está aqui, quem não se cadastrou, se cadastra nesse link. Grande abraço, até daqui a pouco. Valeu Maurício, valeu Jan and Meindert. Tchau, gente. Obrigado.
Chegou a novidade pro rolê. E aí, você já provou? Topo Chico, um divisor de águas, com gás, com álcool e aroma natural de fruta. Credo, que delícia! Pra você beber geladinho na beira da praia, da piscina, da banheira, por que não? Difícil encontrar um rolê que não combine. Topo Chico, leve e refrescante em 90 calorias. E aí, topa? Chegou a novidade pro rolê. E aí, você já provou? Topo Chico, um divisor de águas, com gás, com álcool e aroma natural de fruta. Credo, que delícia! Pra você beber geladinho na beira da praia, da piscina, da banheira, por que não? Difícil encontrar um rolê que não combine. Topo Chico, leve e refrescante em 90 calorias. E aí, topa? Chegou a novidade pro rolê. E aí, você já provou? Topo Chico, um divisor de águas, com gás, com álcool e aroma natural de fruta. Credo, que delícia! Pra você beber geladinho na beira da praia, da piscina, da banheira, por que não? Difícil encontrar um rolê que não combine. Topo Chico, leve e refrescante em 90 calorias. E aí, topa? Chegou a novidade pro rolê. E aí, você já provou? Topo Chico, um divisor de águas, com gás, com álcool e aroma natural de fruta. Do que delícia. Pra você beber geladinho na beira da praia, da piscina, da banheira, Por que não? Difícil encontrar um rolê que não combine. Topo Chico, leve e refrescante em 90 calorias. E aí, topa?